Hey, what's happening everybody, and welcome back to another Mr. McGuinty's how-to guides. Today we're here for an exciting install of the turbo back exhaust for the MK6 GTI. Without further ado, let's get to it. Tuning is required after installing this product. Check your instructions for off-the-shelf map selection. Alright, tools required to complete this installation will be a 3/8 drive socket, 13, 14, and 16 mil socket, 14 and 16 mil wrench, socket extensions, a 10 mil hex key, an O2 sensor tool, and optionally, as well as highly recommended, PB blaster or other penetrating fluid, anti-seize lubricant, a 3/8 inch breaker bar, and exhaust hanger removal pliers. Using your 13 mil socket, remove the 2 chassis braces protecting the stock exhaust. There will be 8 bolts in total, 4 per brace. Now it's time to remove the O2 sensor in the stock downpipe by the catalytic converter. Slide the bit over the sensor and then connect an extension and breaker bar, and then pry it loose. Once you've pried it loose, you should be able to remove the tool and then finger thread it out. If you have a CBFA variant of the GTI, you'll have 2 O2 sensors to remove from the lower portion of the downpipe. In preparation for the removal of the O2 sensor by the turbo flange, head up to the engine bay and unplug it. Now use your 13 mil socket to remove the 2 bolts holding the front exhaust hanger in place. Next up, using your 16 mil socket, you'll want to remove the white heat shield that protects the CV boot on the passenger side. At this point, use a 13 mil socket to loosen the 2 nuts on the stock exhaust clamp. The nuts are on top of the clamp, which makes it a pretty tight squeeze. However, if you live anywhere where they use salt on the roads, your clamp might look like this. You can try to remove the nuts, but chances are they're completely corroded. Fortunately, if this is the case, we won't be reusing this part, so you can actually get an angle grinder and cut them off. If that isn't an option for you, don't worry, the exhaust can be taken out as one long piece. Now it's time for the most fun and challenging portion of the uninstall, the removal of 4 16 mil nuts, holding the downpipe to the turbo. Use combinations of the 16 mil socket and short extension plus breaker bar to loosen 3 of the nuts. The farthest nut from you at the top must be accessed from the engine bay, and we'll show that coming up. Accessing this nut can be quite tricky. For starters, depending on your dexterity, you may need to remove the intake tube to be able to access this nut. Using a deep well 16 mil socket, 5-inch and 3-inch extensions on the 3/4 drive socket, you'll want to slide it back behind the block, around the wiring harnesses, and feel for the 1 nut that remains. Once it's properly seated, you'll have just enough space to put the breaker bar on. Once this nut has been loosened, go back and remove all 4 nuts. At this point, you can remove the stock downpipe. If you had issues removing the exhaust clamp, continue on and we'll show you how to remove the exhaust in one long piece. Additionally, don't forget to keep the stock turbo, nuts, and gasket. Or for that extra peace of mind, you can buy a brand new set from your dealer for under 10 bucks. This vehicle had 50,000 miles on it and you can immediately see the difference. Now it's time to free the exhaust from the exhaust hangers. It's recommended to have an extra set of hands with this. You don't want to be like somebody I know who took a muffler to the face their first trip to the rodeo. On that note, let's get the rest of the exhaust freed up and out of the car. Start off by detaching the exhaust from the 2 exhaust hangers directly below the exhaust clamp at the rear of the downpipe. If you were able to free the exhaust clamp earlier, your downpipe and clamp will no longer be present. As you can tell by the video, ours is still there. That's because it was rusted solid, so we're taking the exhaust out as one long piece. Now detach the exhaust hanger directly behind the driver's side exhaust tip. Next up, you'll want to detach the exhaust hanger directly behind the passenger exhaust tip. Both the design and the angle at which you have to come at this makes it pretty difficult to get out. It may help to spray in some WD-40 PB Blaster or equivalent lubricant and rock the exhaust and hanger back and forth just a little bit. For those of you that were initially unable to remove the exhaust clamp, you should now have enough wiggle to be able to remove the downpipe from the studs, as there's now only one exhaust hanger remaining. Now head back to the driver's side rear wheel well and detach the last hanger. Stay clear because as soon as that is popped out, it's going to be ready to hit the ground. As you can tell by the video, when it drops, the camera takes a hit. Depending on your exhaust coupler, it's either time to pull out part of the exhaust or the whole darn thing. Now swap the O2 sensor from the stock downpipe over to the new COBB downpipe. Be sure to use a small amount of anti-seize on the threads for the O2 sensor, because seriously, nobody likes a stripped O2 sensor. Now you want to reattach the exhaust hanger bracket to the bottom of the downpipe. If you have a non-CBFA, also referred to as a CCTA car, it's now time to thread the O2 sensor plug into the bung right behind the flex pipe. Anti-seize the threads, finger thread it in, and then tighten it down. If your vehicle is CBFA, you'll skip this step altogether. Now with the stock turbo gasket in place, it's time to reconnect the downpipe. Once it's in the correct position, you'll want to loosely thread on the 4 nuts that came off the stock downpipe. Again, apply a little bit of anti-seize to the 4 nut threads. Some folks may tell you this isn't needed or not to do it at all. However, something to keep in mind is that anti-seize is not anti-stay tight. Even if that were the case, would you rather have to deal with one lost nut or a broken or stripped stud on your turbo? Next up, finger thread on and tighten down the 13mm bolts that hold the lower exhaust hanger in place. Now you want to reconnect your O2 sensor or O2 sensors. If you have a CBFA vehicle, you'll use both O2 sensor bungs. Now moving to the back of the car, let's go ahead and connect the tip section to the exhaust hangers. After the tips are in place, it's time to get the muffler section connected to the exhaust hangers as well. Now it's time to put your gasket and 2 14mm flange bolts at the end of the downpipe. Loosely thread these on and then repeat the process for the tip to muffler section as well. At this time, it's time to tighten down the 4 nuts on the downpipe. Once that's been completed, working from the exhaust tips forward, go back and tighten down all the bolts that you loosely threaded on before. Finish things up by reinstalling the CV boot axle heat shield, the exhaust braces, and reconnecting the O2 sensor in the engine bay, as well as reinstalling the intake tube as necessary. This concludes the installation, but we highly suggest you stick around for sound bites and the post-installation product review. Alright, this product got high marks in the following categories. Superior airflow. The full 3-inch exhaust and high flow cats open up the vehicle for additional performance-based modifications in the future. With higher airflow and less restrictions, the performance gains after the ECU has been remapped, I repeat, after the ECU has been remapped, are substantial. Something else worth noting on this is that this is OEM fitment. This exhaust paired up perfectly, all the way from the turbo studs straight back to the exhaust tips. Something else that's super important when you're getting an exhaust is the sound, and this thing is a home run. It sounds phenomenal. Speaking of phenomenal, let's talk about build quality. From the time you open the box till it's finally mounted in place, you'll be able to tell that the highest quality materials and craftsmanship were put into this product. And finally is the price. The price is right in line with all of the other competitors on the market, but it's made by COBB, so you know it was made right. Don't forget to stop by www.cobbtuning.com and check out all the other great products by COBB. And finally, don't forget to stop by and check us out on YouTube. Take it easy everybody, and we'll see you next install.